among members, there is a notice of motion in this supplementary order paper on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. And this is a notice of motion that will be moved by the chairperson, the special committee on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. And according to this notice of motion, is that pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on 8th of June 2023, the County Assembly of Siaya approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. It continues to indicate that this office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 10th of June received that letter from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Siaya that conveyed the resolution of the County Assembly removing from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. This notice of motion by the chairperson of that special committee continues to indicate that on 15th, the 11-member special committee was appointed to investigate or to look into the matter on the proposed removal of Deputy Governor William Oduol and present its report after 10 days. That is what exactly has been done in the last 1 hour. The committee has presented its report and the members have gone through it. This notice of motion further indicates that pursuant to Section 33(4) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 82, the special committee has investigated the matter and tabled its report. That is today. And pursuant to Section 33(4) and 6B of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 84B. At this rate, we come back to the standing order of the House, that is 84B. Remember, earlier on, I had indicated that we have two processes that are before us. Standing Order 80, Section 4A indicates that if the special committee reports that the particulars of any allegation against the governor have not been substantiated, that is 4A, no further action shall be taken under this section in respect of that allegation. However, 4B indicates that if the special committee reports that the particulars of any allegation against the governor have been substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the governor an opportunity to be heard, vote on the charges. In this notice of motion by the committee, the special committee that was investigating the matter, it has indicated the Standing Order 84B that the special committee has found that the particulars of Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws in respect of interference with the procurement process through acts of bid rigging, and Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect of allegation of misleading the public by giving false information, have been substantiated. This is according to the notice of motion that has been added in today's order of business. Remember, the business that was to be transacted this afternoon with regards to this special sitting was to consider the report by the special committee that was tasked to look into the matter or investigate these allegations that were leveled against the deputy governor. The speaker is addressing the chambers. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast.
Senator Bett Sengo. Honorable Senators, welcome back to the resumption of proceedings of this special sitting. I believe that you have now had the opportunity to go through the report of the Special Committee on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable William Odul, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. As you may have noticed, the committee has found Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws in respect to interference with procurement process through acts of bid rigging, and Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect to allegation 4, that is misleading the public by giving false information against the Deputy Governor substantiated. Now, Honorable Senators, the procedure to be followed in this case is that set out in Section 33B, 6B of the County Government Act and Standing Order 84B, both of which provide as follows. If the Special Committee reports that the particulars of any allegation against the Deputy Governor have been substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the Deputy Governor an opportunity to be heard, vote on the impeachment charges. Consequently, Honorable Senators, a supplementary order paper has been prepared and circulated. In order number 6, the chairperson of the Special Committee will give a notice of motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odul, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. The motion has been scheduled for debate in order number 8 of this afternoon's supplementary order paper. Debate on the motion will ensue in the usual manner, and at the conclusion thereof, the Senate will proceed to vote on impeachment charges after according the Deputy Governor the opportunity to be heard. Please stand guided accordingly. Clerk, call the order, please.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The chairperson of the Special Committee.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give a notice of the following motion that the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odul, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. Honorable Speaker, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act on 8th of June 2023, the County Assembly of Siaya approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odul, the Deputy Governor of Siaya. Honorable Speaker, and whereas by letter reference CASADM/33/04 dated Friday, 9th June 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Saturday, the 10th June 2023, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Siaya conveyed the resolution of the County Assembly removing from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odul, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33, subsection 3, subsection B of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order 80, subsection 1, subsection B of the Senate, by resolution on Thursday, the 15th June 2023, appointed a special committee comprising of 11 of its members to investigate the matter on proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odul, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether it finds the particulars of the allegations to have been substantiated. Further, whereas pursuant to Section 33(4) of the County Governments Act and Standing Orders 80 subsection 2, the special committee has investigated the matter and tabled its report today, the 26th of June 2023. And whereas pursuant to section 33, subsection 4 and section 6, subsection B of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 80, subsection 4B, the special committee has found that the particulars of charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws in respect of interference with the procurement process through acts of bid rigging, and charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect of allegation 4, misleading the public by giving false information, have been substantiated. Now, therefore, pursuant to section 33, 6B of the County Government Act and Standing Order 80, subsection 4B, the Senate, after according the Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya, an opportunity to be had, resolves to impeach Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya, County Government on the following charges. 1, charge 1 is gross violation of the Constitution and other laws in respect of interference with the procurement process through acts of bid rigging. 2nd, charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect of allegation 4, misleading the public by giving false information. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This notice of motion, yeah, that was, you are misleading me.
The clerk, call the next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, motion, the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County.
The chairperson of the special committee.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the following motion.
What is your point of order, Senator Aaron Cheriot?
Mr. Speaker, apologies to chairperson of the committee, but there's an increasing habit on the side of the minority, Mr. Speaker, of members coming to this house inappropriately dressed. Senator Eddie Okech, Mr. Speaker, if you look at him as he is presently before the house, Mr. Speaker, you will realize he is with a shirt that is unbuttoned, and that is not possible. Unless maybe for health reasons, Mr. Speaker, that is not the proper way of appearing before the House, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Senator Mazayo.
Bwana Spika, ni jambo la kusikitisha kuona ya kwamba hata pole yule ndugu yangu Cheriot hawezi kumwambia seneta mwenzake, japokuwa kwamba kuna motion hapa, lakini nataka kusema hivi Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kama unavyoelewa, tulipokuwa katika mkutano wa leo wa SHBC, tumesema ya kwamba aruhusiwe aje yeye mwenyewe vile alivyo hivi sasa, vile amevaa, kwa sababu ndio nafasi ya mguu wake, ama pale alifanyia operation inaweza kuwa sawa sawa. Kwa hiyo wewe mwenyewe ukapitisha ya kwamba wewe kama uko mkutanoni shauri yako. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, nasema ya kwamba kwa sababu umepitisha ya kwamba Eddie anaweza kuingia ndani ya bunge, hali ikiwa amevaa nguo ambazo zitaweza kumsaidia kutembea na kuwa sawa pale atakapokuwa ameketi, ndio sababu unamuona Eddie haketi pale, ameketi leo peke yake na anaketi hapa katikati. Kwa hiyo mimi nasema ya kwamba vile alivyosema ndugu yangu, nataka kumjulisha ya kwamba hilo ni jambo ambalo tumesema katika mkutano na tumekubaliana. Asante Bwana Spika.
Now, order, honorable senators. We have a very weighty matter before us. And I have seen the way Senator Eddy is dressed up. I know Senator Eddy has undergone an operation. And is unable, therefore, to wear the kind of dress code that is described in the Speaker's rules. And therefore, because of his health condition, I will allow Senator Eddy to participate in these proceedings. Proceed, Chairman.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. I beg to move the motion that the Deputy Governor for Siaya be removed by impeachment. Honorable Speaker, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on 8th of June 2023, the County Assembly of Siaya approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor for Siaya. And whereas, by a letter reference CASADM/33/4, dated Friday, 9th of June 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Saturday, 10th June 2023, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Siaya conveyed the resolution of the County Assembly removing from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya, and further forwarded to the Speaker of Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. Honorable Speaker, whereas pursuant to Section 33, subsection 3B of the County Government Act and Standing Order 80, subsection 1B, the Senate by resolution on Thursday, 15 June 2023, appointed a special committee comprising of 11 members to investigate the matter on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether it finds the particulars of the allocations to have been substantiated. Honorable Speaker, further whereas pursuant to Section 33, subsection 4 of the County Government Act and Standing Order 80, subsection 2, the special committee has investigated the matter and tabled its report today, Monday, 26 June 2023. And whereas pursuant to Section 33, subsection 4 and Section 6B of the County Government Act and Standing Order 80, subsection 4B, the special committee has found that particulars of charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws in respect of interference with the procurement process through acts of bid rigging, and charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect of allegation 4, misleading the public by giving false information, has been substantiated. Honorable Speaker, now therefore, pursuant to Section 33, subsection 6B of the County Government Act and Standing Order 80, subsection 4B, the Senate, after according the Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya, an opportunity to be heard, resolves to impeach Honorable William Odwal, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, on the following charges. 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws in respect of interference with the procurement process through acts of bid rigging. Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect of allegation 4, misleading the public by giving false information. Honorable Speaker, that pursuant to Standing Order 254, subsection 1, the sitting will be. Is this mine really? Honorable Speaker, in our sitting, I wish to move the motion, Honorable Speaker, and give the following comments. Honorable Speaker, we sat as a committee after being given the mandate, and Honorable Speaker, subsection 33, section 5 of the County Government Act, Standing Order 83, and Rule 4A of Part 2 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders provide that the Deputy Governor shall be invited to appear and be represented before the Special Committee during its investigations. Rule 4B of Part 2 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders further that the County Assembly should be notified of the date of commencement of the investigations and invited to appear before the Senate. Pursuant to these provisions of the law, the Special Committee invited both the County Assembly of Siaya and the Deputy Governor, and they appeared and presented before the Special Committee on Wednesday, 21st June 2023, and Thursday, 22nd June 2023, respectively. The County Assembly, Honorable Speaker, was represented by the advocates of Cordon, Okola, Peter Wanyama, Willis Otieno, Bita Okiro, Reni Langat, Leonard Okanda, and Omondi Okoyo Shem. The Siaya County Deputy Governor was represented by Paul Nyamodi, Moses Chelanga, and Patrick Baraza. The committee thereafter, Honorable Speaker, retreated to consider the evidence submitted by the two parties and write the report. Honorable Speaker, I therefore wish to highlight and inform this House on the findings of the report of the Special Committee that investigated the matter pursuant to Section 33, subsection 4 of the County Government Act 2012 and Standing Order 80, subsection 2A and 80, subsection 2B of the Senate Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, the committee made the following observations regarding the charges brought before the Senate against the Deputy Governor of Siaya, Honorable CBA Dr. William Odwal. On charge 1 of gross violation of the Constitution and other laws, the County Assembly set out one allegation of interference with procurement process through acts of bid rigging. The committee noted that the Deputy Governor admitted himself that he attempted to interfere in the procurement process by instructing the Director of Supply Chain Management to change the tender categorization on the procurement for the supply and delivery of certified seeds and fertilizer. The committee therefore found the allegation to have been proved and substantiated. Second, Honorable Speaker, on the charge of abuse of office and gross misconduct, the County Assembly set out 4 allegations as follows: bulldozing officers to renovate the office of the Deputy Governor outside approved budgetary provisions, misuse of public resources, pooling, misleading the public by giving false information. On the first allegation of bulldozing officers to renovate the office of the Deputy Governor outside the approved budgetary provisions, the committee found not to have been substantiated. Honorable Speaker, the committee takes great exception to the cost of the Deputy Governor's chair, in which it was demonstrated from the evidence adduced that a comprehensive market survey was not undertaken. Honorable Speaker, we consider as a committee to be wasteful and urge counties to procure goods based on its properly assessed market value. On the second allegation about misuse of public resources, the committee found the allegation not to have been substantiated. On the third allegation of bullying, the committee found the allegation not to be substantiated. Honorable Speaker, from what we got and gathered, Honorable Speaker, there is a lot of infighting across the counties between the governors and the deputy governors. I think this House, Honorable Speaker, we might need to amend some laws, because it looks like the governors and the deputy governors during campaign, they have a marriage of convenience to get votes. As soon as they have votes, as soon as they're elected into the office, the fights start beginning from after inauguration. So, Honorable Speaker, there are issues that this House needs to look at so that the counties so that devolution is protected. Because if the governors fight throughout 5 years, it's unfair. And these governors and the deputies, they agreed during campaigns. So you wonder why they start fighting. They should not fight. They should work. If you agreed and you got votes together as a governor and a deputy governor,
Chairman.
why?
The chairman.
Yes.
Senator Crystal Asige, what is your point of, what's your point of order?
Thank you very much, Chair. I don't mean to interrupt the Chair on this report. However, Mr. Speaker, there is an issue that I am getting increasingly frustrated with in this House, and I thought that this is an opportunity for me to voice that issue. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time, it's not the second time, not the third or fourth or fifth time that I have brought it to this House and through the clerk's office that documents need to be made accessible to persons with disabilities, specifically those with visual impairment like myself. Mr. Speaker, you began this resumption by saying that you trust that all senators have been furnished with the report in the 30-minute adjournment. However, Mr. Speaker, nobody has furnished me with this report, so it's becoming hard for me to continue to follow this proceeding. Mr. Speaker, as you know, persons with disabilities need, according to our Constitution, to be included, Mr. Speaker. It's not something that I'm requesting as a visually impaired person. It's something that is in our Constitution. Reasonable accommodation must be made for persons with disabilities so that we can be able to participate fully and meaningfully in all areas, Mr. Speaker. I have gone through this personally with the clerk, other senators as well in this House, maybe not with you specifically, Mr. Speaker, but I'm going to do this now because I cannot follow this proceeding. And other senators, or somebody might argue that, oh, but you're normally a senator, so you won't really be voting in this proceeding anyway, so it's not that important. However, I will strongly refute that by saying that I do deserve to be able to participate in this proceeding. And even though I was excluded from participating in the committee because of my disability, Mr. Speaker, I should not be excluded from participating in this House in your presence. So I stand on point of order number 1 to seek your guidance, Mr. Speaker, not just for this sitting, but for the 4 years that I'm going to be here. Because if I continue to be excluded, that will, in front of you and Mr. Speaker, with your knowledge, then I find that to be quite egregious, and I seek your guidance. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Crystal. Indeed, your concern is very valid, and I fully agree with you. However, this report was made available the moment it was tabled. And between the time of tabling this report to resumption of this session, we had 30 minutes. It wasn't humanly possible to prepare the version that ought to have been prepared. Maybe at the committee stage, as they were preparing this report, they ought to have known, because Senator Asige has not just walked into this chamber today. So committees, you have to be sensitive and alive to the constitutional provisions. We have members that we need to accord them the opportunity to take part in our proceedings. And today, Senator Asige has been reduced to a spectator. Very unfortunate. Going forward, Senator Asige, this will be fixed. It will never recur. Proceed, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I was basically about to finish. I was saying that at the county level, the counties need to, especially the executive, the deputy governors and the governors, they need to find a way of resolving their own issues internally, at least initially, before bringing their own fights into the Senate. So, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say much. I just want to move and request the Vice Chair of the committee, Honorable Betty Mondet, to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to second the motion which my very able chairman has tabled to this House and say that it has not been easy. It has been a few days of hard work. I also want to thank the other committee members. Mr. Speaker, sir, looking at this issue, we had an opportunity of examining exactly what is happening in other counties. And as my able chairman has said, I think we should take this opportunity and look at our laws and see what can be done so that the governors and the deputy governors can be able to work together. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to urge this House to look at that report. We have really put in a lot of time. We have looked at every allegation, and let us look at it not on party lines so that we can deliver good results for the people of Siaya. The core essence of the Senate is to make sure that devolution does not die. So let us not be the first people who are going to kill devolution. So I urge all the members to put party lines aside and let us look at this report conclusively. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to support.
Now, honorable senators, before I propose the question, let me still address myself to the concerns by Senator Asige. I've just been informed by the clerk that a PDF version has been transmitted to the senator, and I believe you can now access it, Senator, so that you stop being a spectator and join this debate. Now I proceed to propose the question, which is that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on 8th June 2023, the County Government of Siaya approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. And whereas by a letter reference CASA DM/33/04, dated Friday 9th June 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Saturday 10th June 2023, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Siaya conveyed the resolution of the County Assembly removing from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81B of the Senate, by resolution on Thursday, 15th June 2023, appointed a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether it finds the particulars of the allegations to have been substantiated. Further, whereas pursuant to Section 33(4) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 82, the special committee has investigated the matter and tabled its report today, Monday, 26th June 2023. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(4) and 6B of the County Government Act and Standing Order 84B, the special committee has found that the particulars of Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution, other laws, and Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct, have been substantiated. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(6)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 84B, the Senate, after according the Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, an opportunity to be heard, resolves to impeach Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, on the following charges. Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws, and Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct. Now, honorable senators, the floor is open for debate. What is your point of order, Senator Lelegwe?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 111.1, debate on the motion be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes for each senator while contributing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, honorable senators, before we started after resumption, the two sides consulted, led by the minority leader from the opposition side and led by the majority leader on the government side on this particular matter. And an agreement had been reached by both sides that we will limit debate to 5 minutes when a senator rises to speak, and that each side will have 6 senators speak to this motion. Is that the agreement still standing? So then we will proceed that way. We will proceed that way. Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting me the opportunity to really set the pace for this debate. I don't know. I don't know why there is so much excitement on the side that sits on the right of the Speaker. But there must be a reason for it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I first want to take this opportunity to really congratulate the team.
Senator Kajwang, the seats are meant for just one senator, not 2. Kindly occupy your rightful seat.
Speaker, I take the opportunity to thank the committee that sat on these impeachment proceedings, and I thank them for the report that they brought to the floor of the House. The Speaker, the question that I ask myself, and I'm very sure it's a question that a lot of senators here are asking themselves, is at what point shall the Senate, sitting in plenary, prosecute a matter as important as an impeachment motion without due regard to party positions? I'm not saying that it should happen now. I'm not saying it should happen tomorrow, but I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, on a matter as important and as weighty as an impeachment motion, it's an opportunity that we have to safeguard devolution by debating and voting purely on account of evidence and facts presented before the Senate. So, Speaker, the committee that we put in place to deal with this matter has returned 2 verdicts on the positive impeachment of the Deputy Governor of Siaya. On the first verdict, Mr. Speaker, the committee, and I have not seen a dissenting report from the committee, so I assume that the committee has unanimously agreed that the Deputy Governor of Siaya has grossly violated the Constitution. That is the verdict of the committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our impeachment proceedings And the requirements for impeachment are very clear and straightforward. That if a person set to be removed from office by way of impeachment.
What is your point of order, Senator Tabitha?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on a point of order, standing order number 105, on responsibility for statement of fact. As a committee, the senator, my good senator from my home county, has stated that the decision was unanimous. And this decision was not unanimous. So he needs to substantiate where he gets his information from, because it was 6 against 5, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tabitha. Senator Mogeni, you're out of order. Yes. Senator Mazayo, the chair is addressing the House. Senator Tabitha, I wish you could have stood on a point of information to inform Senator Enoch that indeed, as a member of that committee, you have the correct information that that report was not voted unanimously. I just do not see how that can warrant to be called a point of order, and therefore I proceed to overrule it. Yes, Senator Boni, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, this is a House of record. And Mr. Speaker, I cannot imagine challenging the decision of the chair. But Senator Tabitha Mutinda has moved perfectly in order, understanding Order 105. Mr. Speaker, Senator Wambua has misled the House. The vote was 5 against 6, 5 against and 6-4. And therefore,
Senator Boni, just have your seat. I honestly don't see why this matter is generating into a debate. Senator Tabitha has given the information as a member of that committee that there was no unanimity in adopting that report. Leave it there, proceed.
It's a small thing, really, guys. Mr. Speaker, I hope my time was held during that disruption. And the Speaker, there is value in reports that are tabled in this House. It is not a PR exercise, Senator Tabitha. There is value in reports that are tabled here. They inform, debate, and that is why we took 30 minutes to read through the reports so they can inform our debate. The Speaker, for the information of Senator Tabitha and those with the same mindset. The Speaker, page 11, I'm addressing the Speaker, Madam Senator Tabitha, page 11 of the report. The members have adopted the list of members that have adopted the report. They are 11, and we put in place 11 members. And Senator Tabitha Mutinda, for your information through the Speaker, you are number 9, and you have signed that report. The Speaker, just for the record, the Speaker, our proceedings.
Senator Wambua, you're referring to page what of the report?
Mr. Speaker, page 11. The adoption report, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, can you order that the Senator of Gitui be heard in silence?
Honorable Senators, Senator Enoch Wambua will be heard in silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will say two things, and my time was not held with the Speaker, but I'll say two things within the time that I have. Mr. Speaker, the first
What is your point of order, Senator Boni?
Mr. Speaker, I agree
I don't know whether it's the same.
with the information referred to page 9 by the Senator of Kitui, page 11. But Mr. Speaker, if it is true that page 11 is telling us what transpired during the voting, and when the actual outcome of the voting was not unanimous, then what else in this report is not accurate? Mr. Speaker, therefore, the chair should make a decision on whether we have an accurate report of a committee that can allow us to make a decision on a very important constitutional issue of helping the governor of Siaya to run his office and making sure that the deputy governor of Siaya enjoys his constitutional right. We cannot make that decision on reports that could be either opaque, inaccurate, or deliberately written so as to confuse debate, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, Senators. We are wasting very important time. Now, Senator Boni, we are guided by this report that has been tabled. Debate shall be based on the report as tabled by the chairman. During his tabling of this report, he never mentioned that there's some inaccuracies in this report. So kindly confine yourself to the report as tabled. Proceed, Senator Wambua, and finalize your 1 minute remaining. You have 1 minute to go.
Surely, Mr. Speaker, I have not even said anything. How can it be 1 minute, really? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe that you are a very fair arbiter of debate. And you will find that I have not been able to say anything because of interruptions. Mr. Speaker, I will leave it to the chair to decide whether I have 1 minute or 4 minutes. Mr. Speaker, the motion as tabled by the chairman of the committee has found the deputy governor of Siaya guilty of gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The Speaker, without looking for any other ground, how can a person that has been found guilty by 11 members of the committee, guilty of violating gross violation of the Constitution, be allowed to continue to serve as deputy governor of a county? The Speaker, there are things you'll do in this house, if you're not careful, that will return to haunt all of us. On the one hand, the House cannot find any person holding public office guilty of gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya, and on the other hand, give him another opportunity to serve in a public office. The Speaker, secondly, the committee has found this deputy governor of Siaya guilty of abuse of office and gross misconduct in respect of allegation 4 on misleading the public. Mr. Speaker, Chapter 6 of the Constitution speaks to integrity. And integrity, Mr. Speaker, is not just about fiscal discipline. Integrity is also about the relationship that us, as public servants, as leaders in this country, the way we relate with the people that we lead. Our choices, the Speaker, that we make to either lead or mislead our people. The Speaker, the Deputy Governor, on his own admission, in the same report, and the Speaker, I would very quickly heard that if actually the committee, a section of the committee, is uncomfortable with page 11, there's nothing that would have stopped them from moving a motion to expurge page 11 from their own report. So this
Senator Thangwa. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to oppose that recommendation and that report from the committee. Mr. Speaker, and I must thank the side of the minority, because as we stand here, we have not been threatened with maandamano if we are to go either way. So I can say we are fine. Mr. Speaker, on this house, on the floor of this house, about 2 years ago, the senator for Siaya then, none other than James Orengo, said here on this floor that impeachment generally is a political process. Mr. Speaker, the question I'm asking the members of this house, are we going to be used to sanitize the politics of Siaya, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, when I look at this report, and I want to tell the members of this house who are saying about page 11, we do not know how they arrived on this, Mr. Speaker, but of course they signed on a report that was agreed by the majority. Just to say, yes, we agreed to what we said, nevertheless not talking about the number 6 and number 5, Mr. Speaker. But I want to ask myself, Mr. Speaker, when you say you're removing somebody from office because he said in public that a certain CS was forced to resign, Mr. Speaker, is that a threshold enough to remove somebody from office? How many times have we been lied to, Mr. Speaker, by leaders whom we respect from either side, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, on that issue of political process, I keep on asking, are we going to allow this house to be used to play politics of Siaya, Mr. Speaker? And that's why I oppose that report. Mr. Speaker, we are told by that report that the said deputy governor was interfering with procurement processes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we do have directors of procurement in every county, Mr. Speaker. It is not the deputy governor. And if at all you're blaming the deputy governor, the person who is supposed to be here is the county executive, who is the governor of Siaya, James Orengo. He is the person who is supposed to be on this floor. Mr. Speaker, I saw it on the other day. Honorable senators, especially those from the government side, we will still need these chairs after this session. Thank you. I think I still have my 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, this House has been sitting here discussing important motions, important issues, having the CSs coming here to discuss matters of national importance, but the minority move out or always go out of the House. They are now here, Mr. Speaker, just to kick out somebody because somebody said a certain county secretary was forced to resign. Mr. Speaker, is that what we want this Senate to go down as? A house that discusses irrelevancies, Mr. Speaker? Do we want this house to be taken as a house that only discusses on removal? That's why their side is full, Mr. Speaker. Look at them. Beautiful. They are here. Mr. Speaker, look at them. Look at them. Look at them, Mr. Speaker. But when we are discussing issues of the county the national importance, they move out. I ask them to move out even now. Go, so that's Siaya.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddy? Senator Eddy, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I rise on point order number 101, 4. No senator shall impute improper motive to any other senator or to a member of the National Assembly except upon specific substantive motion of which at least 3 days notice shall be given, calling in question the conduct of this senator or member of the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, as I talk about that point of order, Mr. Speaker, let me first of all extend my most sincerest gratitude to you for your empathy beyond sympathy that you have accorded me in this last week that has been excruciating in the hospital, and other senators who have also been very supportive. I know Senator Cheriot was just joking, but he's my captain in soccer and he has been very supportive during my time of surgery. I actually left the hospital this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, and on very strong painkillers to go through this process. And it's very disappointing to hear the Senator of Kiambu imputing that the minority side, the senators on the minority side, are the one who have brought this case to this House. That the senators from the minority side are the ones who have come to the floor to prosecute the deputy governor of Siaya. I have been following this entire process, and I have actually been very keen not to even call members of the committee to check on them because of the honor and dignity that we give this House. Mr. Speaker, is it in order to reduce this debate to an issue of minority versus majority? But most importantly, is it in order for a senator of Kiambu to suggest that it is the senators from the minority side who are demanding for the impeachment of the deputy governor of Siaya? And Mr. Speaker, can he actually be able to give that evidence, alluding to all these honorable members who I think that in this House are just as honorable and as reasonable and as passionate and committed to the Constitution, the same way I am seeing the honorable members from the majority side, who I really, really respect. Mr. Speaker, I will request you to rule on that.
Now, honorable senators, you know, if we avoid these sideshows, we can prosecute the business before us so well. Now, Senator Karungo, the senator who spoke and contributed to this motion from the minority side is only Senator Enoch Wamboa. We don't know, at this juncture, we don't know the rest, whether they are supporting or they're opposing. So to make a blanket statement that the minority has a position and therefore impute a motive, I think to that extent, Senator Karungo, you are out of order, and proceed to retract that statement, the statement that referred to the minority side as senators who are here to remove the deputy governor, but otherwise, for other businesses, they're not there. I think I've seen a lot of consistency in faces from the minority side debating on other businesses apart from this. So that blanket condemnation, Senator Karungo, kindly proceed to retract as we proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All I wanted to show is how important this motion is, that even the senator who is raising a point of order, he came by ambulance to show. I'm just trying to show you how they take serious some of these
Senator-
issues, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo.
That he will come out of the
Order,
hospital,
order,
Mr.
Senator.
Speaker.
Order, senators. Have a seat, Senator Karungo, please. Now, this matter before us is very crucial. I will be at pain having you watch these proceedings from the lounge. So you help me. Will you be orderly? You'll all be in this chamber to the end. The way we are moving, we may end up going to voting with very few of you. Kindly, Senator Karungo, I have ruled you were to stand and retract that statement, not to explain yourself. I have ruled on your statement.
Mr. Speaker, I really respect the chair. And of course, I cannot argue with the chair. So I retract what I had said for me to prove a point later on. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I think I had a minute because I was interrupted. For me to conclude, Mr. Speaker, the grounds for removal of either a governor and a deputy governor are well put in Article 181 of our Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And it talks about gross violation, talk about abuse of office, physical and mental incapacity, and of course, if the deputy governor has committed a crime, Mr. Speaker. When we say...
Senator Sifuna, what is your point?
I hope I save my minute again, Mr. Speaker.
Can you save the time remaining for Senator Karungo so that he can have his...
Mr. Speaker, there is something that my colleague from Kiambu has said that I believe cannot be allowed to stick. He must also withdraw the assertion that, in fact, we have been refusing to attend certain sessions. It is, Mr. Speaker, I rose up. Please, Mr. Speaker, protect me. I would want that we refer to standing
Honorable
order.
Senator is on a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He must.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 103, we are not allowed to be discussing matters that are the subject of a court proceeding. It is a matter of record that, in fact, the reason the minority side does not attend sessions including foreigners, strangers to this House, is because we have filed a suit on principle objecting to the presence of cabinet secretaries in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, the minority side are the plaintiffs, and the clerk, as a representative of this House, is a respondent. Mr. Speaker, therefore, for him to cast aspersions on us, discussing a matter that is before court, he knows the reasons why we don't attend on Wednesdays. And then he wants to come and tell us here that somehow we choose which business to come and attend and which one not to. Mr. Speaker, I believe that he needs to withdraw those particular sentiments as well.
Senator Sifuna, I'm afraid I'm going to overrule you. That does not amount to a point of order. Proceed and conclude your intervention, Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Instead of, anyway. Mr. Speaker, I was talking about Article 181 that gives the grounds for removal of anybody from office. Gross violation of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, governor has committed a crime, abuse of office, and of course, physical and mental incapacity. Mr. Speaker, all those laid grounds by the Constitution, we cannot say just because the governor, the deputy governor, gives some information on political platforms that they are subject or they can be used as a basis to remove him from office, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes, some people talk just the way we are talking here, and I'm told to retract. Tell the deputy governor to retract if at all he said that, and people continue working. Would you remove me from office because I said they don't come on Wednesdays, Mr. Speaker? I'm just saying what is supposed to be said. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I do oppose.
Senator Oburu. Senator Oburu, proceed.
Okay.
The Speaker has called Senator Oburu. Kindly proceed. And if you're not proceeding, your
No, I'm
chance...
proceeding, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mi- mi- mi-
Senator Mogeni, what is your intervention? I will allow it understanding of the one.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, as a colleague, I really never want to challenge the ruling of the Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a tradition that has been set in this House, Mr. Speaker, that any time we have impeachment proceedings, we try as much as possible to leave the host senator or the senator whose governor or deputy governor is being impeached to speak last. So, Mr. Speaker, in fact, that has been the tradition in the more than 7 impeachments that we have done on this House. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll kindly urge that following that tradition and on the request that we had as a caucus, you kindly allow the Senator for Siaya to speak last, Mr. Speaker.
I'm informed that the tradition is the host senator does not even speak on such a matter. And therefore, if you choose to speak, it is upon the Speaker to determine when you're to speak. However, Senator Mazayo, when the chair is speaking, you calm down. Okay? However, with the request that has been made by the minority side through Senior Counsel Mogeni, we will allow Senator Oburu to speak last on the opposition side. Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to begin as my colleague has done by thanking the members of the committee for a job very well done, Mr. Speaker. And that small discussion that was going on about page 11 and its contents, Mr. Speaker, I have only one observation to make. That in fact, Mr. Speaker, we have a rule of evidence that is known as the parole evidence rule, that immediately anything has been reduced into writing, Mr. Speaker, oral evidence is not acceptable to explain the contents of a document. Nothing could have stopped members of the committee who felt, for instance, that they don't agree with this particular position that had been taken by the committee from either including that information that was coming orally in this particular document, or in fact, Mr. Speaker, writing their own report so that we shouldn't hear from them that there was other information that is outside what is contained in this document. We say you should take pride and responsibility for everything you do in private when it comes to the public. You cannot agree on something in private, then when it comes to the floor of the House, somehow you are embarrassed by some of the decisions that you took. Mr. Speaker, going to the contents of the document itself, I want to laud the committee for giving the people of Siaya an opportunity, a chance for devolution to work for them. Because these 2 indictments are on very serious grounds, Mr. Speaker, of violation of the Constitution and the law. That in fact, the governor himself, and I can tell that some senators who have spoken before me have not read this document. In this particular document, Mr. Speaker, there is an admission by the deputy governor himself. And those of you who know the law, they know the weight of an admission of an accused person is heavy. If the governor himself, at page 40 and 41 of the report, has admitted before the committee that he attempted to interfere with procurement processes, then really we shouldn't be debating it any further. We should take him at his own word. He has accepted to a crime, and he should face the consequences of his decision, Mr. Speaker. This committee are the ones who interacted with the evidence. They are the ones who interacted with the witnesses. They were able to tell certain things that we can't tell from this report, Mr. Speaker. For instance, you know, my senior here is a retired judge. You know that the court that takes the evidence, Mr. Speaker, is not the same as an appellate court that only reads the documents. Because they're able to see the demeanor of the witnesses to tell whether somebody is being truthful or not truthful. It would be unfortunate that we can come up with a committee of this House. They utilize all the resources of the House that they have utilized. all the hours that the clerks have spent, and then when they bring a report such as this one, we want to run away from the report, including, I'm suspecting, some members here who already adopted this report and have not told us anything else other than what we can read here on this document. So I want to thank you, Chairman William Kipkemoi Kisang, for giving the people of Siaya hope that now at least devolution is going to work for them. I want to thank Senator Omogeni, Senator Onyonka, Senator Maanzo, Betty Batuli, Senator Abbas Sheikh, Senator Mwenda Gataya Mofaya, Senator Catherine Muma, Tabitha Mutinda, my delegate, one of my delegates from Nairobi. Thank you for giving the people of Siaya hope that devolution can work for them. Senator Miraj and my friend, Mheshimiwa Chimera, thank you so much for standing with the truth that where there has been a violation of the law, these senators, these distinguished senators will stand for the rule of law. They will stand for the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, there is a law, my brother, the senator for Kiambu, wants to trivialize the giving of false information by public officers. Mr. Speaker, it is the Constitution under Chapter 6 that imposes this responsibility on us as elected leaders. Mr. Speaker, there is also a law called the Public Officer Ethics Act. It is actually a crime under that act, Mr. Speaker, to give misleading information in public. So you cannot just tell us, because you people in your coalition, you are used to giving false promises to Kenyans, you tell us that you can just retract. That is not the law, Mr. Speaker. You know, we were promised 6 stadia, we never received that stadia. We were promised 1 million shillings, we were never given those 1 million jobs. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
Senator.
you must protect me.
Senators,
pause my
order.
time, please.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
You are carrying a report.
Mr. Speaker.
You are carrying a report.
Yes.
And your debate ought to be confined to the tenets of that report.
Okay.
I have not seen any study in that report. I have not seen any false promises being addressed in that report. Kindly confine yourself
Mr.
to that
Speaker,
report.
Mr. Speaker,
Let the
please.
senator be heard in silence. Proceed and conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There was reference.
Senator Chirange.
Mr. Speaker, can I be heard, please?
Senator Chirange, I'm giving you a caution.
Mr. Speaker, there was an allegation here that was made that I was responding to. But anyway, I am happy that we as senators got to interact with this particular case. It was very interesting. For the first time in my life, I got an opportunity to see what a 1 million shilling chair looks like. Unfortunately, because I was not a member of the committee, I was not invited to sit on it like my brother, Senator Chimera. And I think having sat on that seat is when Chimera realized that resources that are due to the people of Siaya cannot be used for such things. And I applaud the committee for actually saying that this cannot continue, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, Mr. Speaker,
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for according me an opportunity to vehemently oppose this report that has been brought on the floor of this House by the Special Committee. I don't want to spend a lot of time thanking them because my colleagues have spoken to them. As a very young legislator, Mr. Speaker, of this House, I have taken time to go and read and interact with the library of this House, Mr. Speaker. And one of the very quotable quotes that I would want to quote today, Mr. Speaker, is a quote that was made in 2014 by a very distinguished senator of Homa Bay, the first senator of Homa Bay, Gerard Otieno Kajwang, during the impeachment motion of the deputy governor for Embu, Dorothy Nditi. The good senator for Homa Bay said, I want to quote him, that a deputy governor, it is more difficult to divorce a deputy governor than to divorce a wife, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, we should not and we cannot take advantage of the instruments of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, to settle political scores and for political expeditions, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, even as we speak the many things that are being spoken about here, it begs the question, how long has the deputy governor been in power? How long has the deputy governor been the deputy governor of Siaya? Just 9 months ago, Mr. Speaker, the accusers of this gentleman, the deputy governor of Siaya, Mr. Speaker, were merrymaking with him when they were campaigning, and they were very, very happy moving around with him. And just 9 months later, out of issues that I don't want to speak about because they are not part of the report, Mr. Speaker, we are now here for an impeachment. But, Mr. Speaker, I understand where the Senator for Kiambu is coming from. An impeachment is not just any other motion that we speak about on this House, Mr. Speaker. Once you have been successfully impeached, Mr. Speaker, because we must understand what are we speaking about. We might destroy the life of a person who otherwise would have been a very innocent person, because once you are impeached, Mr. Speaker, the law is very clear. You can never occupy any other office, Mr. Speaker. I have heard my very distinguished colleagues, and it is in the report, page 92, Mr. Speaker, that one of the charges against the Deputy Governor, Mr. Speaker, is issues to do with procurement, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, in the report, page 35 to 43, because one of our senators was accusing us of not having read the report, it is speaking about issues to do with disjointed procurement in Siaya, Mr. Speaker. Reading section 47(1) of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, Mr. Speaker, a procurement function shall be handled by the procurement professionals whose qualifications are recognized in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, if then we are speaking about, and our colleagues have spoken here, if, Mr. Speaker, we are speaking about...
what is your point of order,
I hope my time
is... Save the time, the remaining time for Senator Metho, please.
2 minutes.
Senator Edu.
Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence on this issue because we are in a very serious issue. And Mr. Speaker, my point of order is point of order 104. If Senator Methu might sit, Mr. Speaker, the fact that I'm seated, I'm taking the floor. Mr. Speaker, point of order number 104 says a senator who wishes to speak on any matter in which the senator has peculiarity or proprietary interest shall first declare the interest. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you heard the senator of Nyandarua saying that
Senator Newton.
The impeachment, and I really seek your indulgence, Senator.
Let the senator be heard in silence, please.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, it is on record that the senator has said that the deputy governor of Siaya is here, and the impeachment motion that is here for other issues that are not in the report. And he has declared that verbatim, that this impeachment motion is here on other issues other than the issues that are in the report. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence. We must respect this House. In as much as people want to use this issue of impeachment of the deputy governor of Siaya as a theater for political contestation and punching back here and there, the nation is watching, Mr. Speaker. Devolution is under threat, Mr. Speaker, if the House, such as the Senate...
Senator Eddie, let's save time. Your point of order is overruled. Proceed.
I know he wants to take advantage and debate, but Mr. Speaker, the point that I was making, and I would want to finish there, because we are speaking about procurement. If the governor of Siaya, because we are speaking about issues to do with procurement, if the governor of Siaya has bought a seat for his deputy for 1.1 million, how much more does it cost for the seat of the governor himself if the deputy governor is sitting on 1.1, Mr. Speaker? On a county as disjointed as Siaya, Mr. Speaker, when people do not have medicine, Mr. Speaker, when people cannot have access to health, Mr. Speaker, when children cannot get...
Honorable senators, we need to make progress. Senator Methu, debate the report. Debate the report.
I am debating the report, Mr. Speaker, because, Mr. Speaker, and you know, Mr. Speaker, then we must also be careful. When we speak about...
Senator Methu.
Yes, sir.
Did you just say the chair should be...
I have said we must be careful. I never spoke about... I have never casted aspersions on the...
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, because we then we cannot run away from the question. A school is burning down, and you are going for the deputy principal of that school. where the principal of there is the one and is the CEO of that institution, Mr. Speaker. Responsibilities on issues to do with a disjointed procurement. How do you bring the deputy governor? And the person who has been vested with the responsibility of being the CEO of that particular county is the governor of that county, Mr. Speaker. Why then do you want to roll the ball to another person, Mr. Speaker? Finally, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, because our friends have spoken, Mr. Speaker. In my very last comment, Mr. Speaker, we must be careful. We must deal with this matter because Senate is a house that is supposed to protect the interest, the justice, the equity of every.
Senator Mogene.
Mr. Speaker, first I want to thank the 11 members of the committee that have returned a unanimous verdict to this House, proposing the impeachment, Mr. Speaker, of the Deputy Governor of the County of Homa Bay. Mr. Speaker, can I be heard in silence, Mr.
Senator Newton. Senator Newton, Senator Murango. Senator Cheptum.
Mr. Speaker,
we have taken time to read to you the standing orders, especially on how to address yourselves when you're in the chamber. Senator Nyutu, Senator Murango, Senator Cheptumo, I give you a caution. You commit any disorderly conduct, that door is open. Proceed, Senator Mogene.
Mr. Speaker, for purposes of clarity, Mr. Speaker, we have laid in our report at page 87, Mr. Speaker, we have attached decisions from Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker, that are supposed to guide this House on matters of impeachment. Mr. Speaker, if the House can go to page 87 on issue of impeachment, Mr. Speaker, what the court has said, Mr. Speaker, and I quote at that page, all that is required is that the allegations be substantiated. That's what the court has said, Mr. Speaker. And the charge, Mr. Speaker, that is facing the deputy governor of Siaya is interfering with procurement procedures, Mr. Speaker. That is the charge that he faced, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, if you read the report and you read even the cross-examination of Senator Chimera, Mr. Speaker, that matter was established beyond reasonable doubt, not even on a balance of probabilities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this House, Mr. Speaker, has set the record. Mr. Speaker, we have impeached 2 governors. We have impeached the governor of Kiambu. We have impeached governor of Nairobi. Nobody has been impeached in this House, Mr. Speaker, for committing criminal acts, Mr. Speaker. It's issues of integrity, Mr. Speaker. As we speak here, Mr. Speaker, the report that is before the House, Mr. Speaker, demonstrates, Mr. Speaker, that the deputy governor of Siaya wanted to interfere with procurement and prevent youth and women of Siaya, Mr. Speaker, from benefiting from procurement. Mr. Speaker, where does he want the youth of Siaya to get opportunity to do business with the county government of Siaya? Where does he want the women of Siaya to get opportunities of doing business with counties, Mr. Speaker? You cannot, Mr. Speaker, allow such a deputy governor to continue occupying office, Mr. Speaker. And if you want to draw lessons, Mr. Speaker, even if you go to the US, Mr. Speaker, President Nixon, Mr. Speaker, was forced to resign from office, not because he committed any serious criminal acts, Mr. Speaker, but because he tried to interfere with the Watergate scandal, Mr. Speaker. So what is before this House, Mr. Speaker, is evidence that has been brought to this House demonstrating, Mr. Speaker, that the governor tried to interfere with procurement that was to benefit the youth and women of Siaya. Mr. Speaker, we should not allow a person who lives in a glass house to throw stones and get away with it, Mr. Speaker. When he appeared before the committee, Mr. Speaker, the deputy governor gave us an impression as a man who wanted to fight corruption in the county of Siaya, Mr. Speaker. He protested when the youth were being given these contracts, Mr. Speaker.
But on the issue of the seat of 1.2 million, Mr. Speaker, he pretended that he was never aware, Mr. Speaker. How, Mr. Speaker, I'm asking this House, do you protect somebody who sits on a 1.2 million seat? And he pretends, Mr. Speaker, that he had nothing to do with the procurement of that seat. Mr. Speaker, the UDA administration, you have told us that you want to fight corruption. Today, we want you to demonstrate that indeed you want to fight corruption. If you want Kenyans to look at you as sheep in wolf's skin, we shall know today, Mr. Speaker. Members of this committee, Mr. Speaker, have demonstrated, Mr. Speaker, that we want the accountability mechanisms, the bar on accountability, Mr. Speaker, to be placed very high. There must be a beginning, Mr. Speaker. It cannot be business as usual, Mr. Speaker. When we are sitting here, Mr. Speaker, as judges on this impeachment process, Mr. Speaker, when judges pass a verdict, is to deter, Mr. Speaker. They want to pass a message of deterrence, Mr. Speaker. And this impeachment, Mr. Speaker, we want to send a message either to governors or to deputy governors, Mr. Speaker, that they should never interfere with professionals in procurement, Mr. Speaker. If we don't impeach, Mr. Speaker, if we don't pass this motion, we are opening a floodgate, Mr. Speaker, for governors, for deputy governors to start making calls to professionals in procurement to interfere with procurement processes. Mr. Speaker, this.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, mimi nakataa mambo ya kutimuliwa kwa deputy governor wa Siaya kwa sababu tunajua kazi ya governor wakati wa siasa. Governor na deputy wake wanatembea kona zote wakifanya siasa. Lakini tunajua wakati kwa kuingia kwa ofisi, governor anasukuliwa kama mtoto ya shule. Pia deputy anasukuliwa kama mtu ana maana yoyote. Na ninataka kusema kwa sababu niko na ushuhuda ya kusema hiyo, pale Embu wakati wa kipindi ya kwanza, governor wa Mbora alichagua mandamu alikuwa anaitwa Dorothy. Lakini wakati wa kufanya kazi alimnyanyasa kwa sababu Dorothy hakuwa na pahali yoyote, mpaka hiyo mama akawa hakuwa ana maana. Alikaa na yeye mpaka unakuta saa ingine amnyang'anya gari. Na kwa kipindi ya miaka 5 iliisha, mara ya pili akasukua kijana mwingine anaitwa Dr. Kariuki. Nataka kusema for example, nataka kuongea
Senator Mazayo.
Yes.
Senator
Nasema mfano.
Senator Mundigi. Just Senator Mazayo. Senator Mazayo, there is something called comparative analysis.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, hoja.
Proceed. Senator Mazayo, have your seat. Have your seat. Have your seat. Proceed.
Wa pili akachukua Dr. Kariuki. Siku moja tunakumbuka alisimamisha gari na gari iko kwa polisi karibu mwezi mmoja. Kwa hivyo tumeona kazi ya magavana ni kunyanyasha vijana wetu wale watakuwa magavana kwa ile miaka ingine. Mimi nakataana na kusema kama gavana angetimiliwa, kama deputy angefaa aende, deputy gavana ndiye angekuwa kwanza kujibu maswali. Kwa sababu tunajua gavana ndiye yako na kidole ya kufanya kazi yote ya kuvuta watu, mambo ya kuandikana, gavana akushukuru kama ni mtu ana maana. Kwa hivyo mimi nakataana hiyo maneno. Ya pili, tunajua ingekuwa ni mambo ya kurusha mawe, watu wengine wangekuwa kwa hii nyumba. Na sasa wako hapa wakisema kutumuliwa kwa gavana. Kwa hiyo kwa deputy governor. Kwa hivyo nakataa, nataka kusema deputy governor wa Siaya anafaa arudishwe kazini. Asante.
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this motion, which I support. Mr. Speaker, I am one of the members of the select committee that came up with this report. And I want to commend our chair and every one of the members, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader, and and Senator Methu are speaking loudly and actually interfering. Mr. Speaker, I believe the committee did its best in this matter. I see the debate is taking the model of the majority versus the minority. But in the committee, Mr. Speaker, we were able to canvass these issues very objectively. And it was a difficult decision arriving at the verdict we arrived at. And I would like to tell this House it could have gone either way. Mr. Speaker, of the two charges that were given, there were sub-allegations per charge, and some allegations were proven, while other allegations were not proven. Mr. Speaker, for those who watched, and for the public, for Kenyan citizens who watched, you know that on some of those allegations, the deputy governor actually admitted. So, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the threshold at section 33(6) on what we are supposed to report as a select committee, we are supposed to bring a report indicating whether any of those allegations were substantiated. And that is what we have reported before this House, Mr. Speaker. I would want to support my chair in urging the House that beyond just looking at this as a political issue of the DG Siaya, Governor Siaya, or any other, we need, as a Senate, to bring our mind to the issue of how we can get devolution to work well by ensuring we have clarity around issues of relationships between the two top officers within counties. Mr. Speaker, procurement laws are very clear, and procurement laws have ensured that the process is insulated against interference. But we were able to find the evidence that there were attempts to actually interfere with procurement processes. Mr. Speaker, in fact, in one instance, we found that the DG, as chair of our task force, wrote directly giving a list of people to be paid bills, which is a protocol that is not provided for under the Public Finance Management Act. Mr. Speaker, so we are speaking about serious issues. The DG was in charge of the finances, as he puts it himself, but he did nothing in terms of he did not show us one policy he had put in place.
There is a point of order, Senator Muma. Senator Kathuri is online on a point of order. Proceed, Senator Kathuri.
Can I proceed?
Clerk, we cannot see the senator. Can the senator be put on the screen, please? Proceed, Senator Muma.
Thank you, Speaker. We were not able to be shown one memo or anything written that in terms of policies that the DG helped to put in place. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to speak to the issue of collective responsibility. Mr. Speaker, if the cabinet were to have a cabinet member or the deputy president, when he differs with a group, going out there to say that my government is not doing this, that, or the other, it would make things difficult. The DG admitted to us that he does not take seriously the principle of collective responsibility, which makes it difficult even as we try to reconcile them to ensure that that government, the DG, the governor, and the cabinet are able to work together. How can a cabinet trust somebody who will take off tomorrow to go and say, we have just discussed this, but I have told them I disagree with what they have discussed?
Muma, We have to take a point of order from the Honorable Senator Kathuri. Can it be put on the screen? Yes, Senator Kathuri, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when we were starting the motion, you made a ruling that 6 senators will speak from both sides. And Honorable Speaker, you know I'm not on either of the side with the other senators who are using the ambulance system. So I really wanted to catch your eye also so that you can recognize that we are on the queue.
Senator Kathuri, that is not a point of order, but I've noted it understanding order one. Proceed, Senator Muma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I finalize, I know I'm in my last minute. All I would want to urge us is to seriously look at the report and the bundles of evidence provided and recognize that as a House, we need as a Senate to see how we can work with county governments to put in place mechanisms that can make county governments work. Mr. Speaker, in his opening remarks, DG made a plea on behalf of all deputy governors to say that they need to be protected. Mr. Speaker, I think as a broader issue, it is about pointing out, getting the...
Senator Okenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I've equally had a chance to skim through this report. But let's face it, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Governor for Siaya, Mr. William Oduol, is being vilified for personifying the politics of for actually personifying people who want independence from the politics that Nyanza has been for the last 7 years. Mr. Speaker, it cannot be that a professional, a member of the ISPAC, a man who has worked with Safaricom, a man who has worked with Microsoft for more than 30 years, that now that his deputy governor is all of a sudden corrupt. Mr. William Oduol is not being in public service for the first time. He's neither being in leadership for the first time. So what we're actually seeing is an attempt to fix him. And governors should actually be aware that when you are elected with your deputy, you are actually like Siamese twins. You cannot be separated. So it cannot be that when you're looking for votes, you want the deputy governor's support, and when they are being put on the spot, you now want to drop them. This actually shows that whatever we are seeing here is not about the impeachment charges that have actually been brought. It's more than what we are seeing. If I quote Franklin Roosevelt, he actually says, in politics, nothing happens by accident. What's happening in Siaya is not by accident, and the Senate has an opportunity to actually rubbish some of those claims. They must be substantial. The Senate should not be used as a conveyor belt of listening to rumors and hot air allegations. This is a substantive House which should listen to matters that are substantive and give fair hearing to people who are brought to this House. Mr. Speaker,
Essie, there is a point of order. What is the point of order, Senator Essie?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order number 105. It's very unfortunate for Honorable Kenyuri, whom I've known for many years, to insinuate that we are acting on rumors. When, Honorable Speaker, we have a report with us done by a committee of this House and tabled before this House. Is she in order, Mr. Speaker? Can she substantiate?
Senator Essie, to that extent, you're out of order. What is before us is a report. So we're not debating street talk or things that were heard outside there. The committee sat, prepared a report, tabled that report, and this debate is all about that report, not rumors.
Mr. Speaker, I stand guided, and I hope my few minutes that I was left with to conclude are still there. Mr. Speaker, I was actually sending a warning to the county chiefs that once you run with someone as your deputy, you are Siamese twins. It can't be that when you're actually looking for votes, you need them, and when they're on the fix, you no longer need them. So I oppose the report that has been brought to this House by the committee, and wish to say that whatever is happening to William Odol in Siaya is an attempt to shut down voices of people who want to be politically emancipated from where they have been for more than 70 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that Article 181 had been quoted, and it talks about account governor, who also means account deputy, may be removed from office on any of the following grounds. And it goes on A to say gross violation of the Constitution or any other law. So therefore, if you are not caught on the Constitution, then you are likely to be caught on other laws. I thank the House. I was one of the members in this committee. Mr. Speaker, this job was done very thoroughly and professional. And the matter before us, Mr. Speaker, is between the County Assembly of Siaya and the Deputy Governor of Siaya. Mr. Speaker, when we look at that particular matter, when it was brought to us, an impeachment had already been conducted in Siaya, and there were 4 points on that. We were able to, 2 of them were not substantiated, but 2 were substantiated through the evidence which was tendered, and also admissions by the Deputy Governor of Siaya upon cross-examination by the Honorable Chimera and the Honorable Morfire. So, Mr. Speaker, we have just been brought facts, and the committee was very professional. It went through the whole process very carefully, listened to everybody, and all evidence adduced, including electronic evidence, Mr. Speaker, which had a transcript. And for that particular matter, in relation to the charge on Deputy Governor on gross violation of the Constitution and other laws on the allegation of interference with procurement process through acts of bid rigging had been substantiated, Mr. Speaker, and mainly that was through the evidence tendered. Impeachment is a very serious matter, Mr. Speaker, and part of it is that it is also, I'm sure, the whole country is running. We are here for devolution. We want devolution to work in every single county, including Siaya. And even whatever happens in Siaya now, Mr. Speaker, will give history and direction for the future. And I'm very sure after such a thorough process, it was not a joke. These were not rumors. This was not politics. There were facts and there are acts of parliament in play. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of abuse of office and gross misconduct on allegation of giving misleading information to public and giving false information was also substantiated, and there was a video played, there was transcript translated, there was cross-examination, Mr. Speaker, and there were admissions, Mr. Speaker. So the facts speak for themselves. I think as a House we should not politicize this matter. It is not just about county of Siaya, it's about all the other counties, and our work is to protect devolution in this country. Our work is the biggest question we should be asking in our minds, under this set of circumstances, will the people of Siaya be properly served? And Mr. Speaker, I think our duty is to ensure that the people of Siaya are properly served. I'm sure, even after going through such a rigorous process from the County Assembly and through the Senate, I'm sure everybody has had a lesson to learn, and I'm sure in future, devolution is going to be stronger. And therefore, I'm just calling upon everyone who is in responsibility, Mr. Speaker, whether governor, whether deputy governor, or anybody with responsibility, that the law exists. and that the law does not favor anyone. And the moment you breach the Constitution or you violate an existing statute, such as the criminal code, it is a criminal offense actually to give misleading information. It is against the Constitution to cause disharmony in a county or even give wrong information publicly, especially on procurement. And it came out clearly that the county, the assembly together with the county government, which includes the deputy governor, had actually allocated certain amounts of money for a stadia, and it was going to be implemented. When information is given to the contrary, Mr. Speaker, I think the best thing one can do when they find they're in the wrong is to seek an apology and to seek reconciliation. Mr. Speaker, I support this report and urge that members vote with their conscience and look at the facts correctly so that we can set a precedence. Mr. Speaker, this is not the end of the journey. Whoever method the matter goes.
Senator Tabitha Mutenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by thanking my colleagues whom we were all very dedicated, 11 of us, in looking deeply into this issue. And let me state here categorically, Mr. Speaker, that out of the 11 members, 5 of us voted no to this impeachment, and 6 voted yes. And I want to state that on page 11, the members who voted no included I, Senator Mutinda, my colleague, Senator Miraj, Senator Chimera, the chair, Senator Kisang, and Senator from Tharaka-Nithi County, Senator Gataya. Why do I put this cross, Mr. Speaker? Is because the members want to indicate that this report was unanimous. It was not unanimous. This is an adoption report that requires from our standing orders that we should be able to adapt a report. The Hansard is there clearly indicating the votes of yes and no. But let me state, Mr. Speaker, the issues as a committee that we came across were issues of 2022. The issue of ISPAC, Mr. Speaker, and the issue of the office and the chair. These procurement processes took place in 2022 and not 2023. And yet the county assembly has come to impeach the deputy governor in the year 2023 in June. And like then, why not having done the same last year? Why is it being brought now? Because it is a political process, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me state that, that we have seen the roles of deputy governor not being indicated. It is the high time that we look at our laws as a house and give the deputy governor's roles, the same way the president has given the deputy president and the cabinet, the prime cabinet, roles in this country. It is in this regard that deputy governors are just being used during political campaigns. What the deputy governor of Siaya has clearly raised is the impressed issues. PFM Act, Article 90, clearly indicates that there should be a cap that is set by the county assembly. It is the high time now, Mr. Speaker, that the governor of Siaya, none other than Orengo, should be able to state all the impress that came from the county revenue, the CRF account, to the impressed account with no justification, Mr. Speaker. All said, Mr. Speaker, as I finish, I want to state that governors are to be...
Order, Senator Tabitha. Senator Tabitha. Senator Mazayo, just have your seat. Please have your seat. Senator Mazayo, kindly have your seat. Okay. In my dashboard, I don't have your name. I have that of Senator Sifuna. Proceed to make your point of order.
Mr. Speaker, you know that the statements that are made here must be relevant to the discussion that we are having here. Mr. Speaker, you have already given us direction. Yes. Senator or Governor Orengo is not an accused person, is not facing any charges before this particular Senate. Mr. Speaker, the person who is the subject of these proceedings is the deputy governor. If in fact there are other issues And I would like, Mr. Speaker, that you direct that the senators on the floor also tell us which page we can find the things they're discussing, because as far as I can tell, the information that Senator Mutinda is putting here about Imprest has not been addressed in this report. And I've read this report in its entirety. Mr. Speaker, you asked us when we were presenting to confine ourselves to the report. I beseech you, Mr. Speaker, that you make the same direction to all senators who will come and make presentations, because that matter has not been addressed in this document.
Thank you, Senator Sifuna. Now, honorable members, the chairman has tabled a report. The debate that is ongoing is all about that report. If you had anything in a funeral, that's no subject of debate. So kindly confine yourselves to the report. If a matter is not captured in that report, please do not introduce new matters to this report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided all through. Thank you. But I want to state that as we looked into these issues, there is a very clear letter written appointing the chief officer of finance, clearly indicating that the officer should report to the deputy governor. And I want to thank the governor on that particular point, because at the beginning of the county assembly of, the county of Siaya, the governor was working very well with the deputy governor, and in that regard, he gave him roles. And why? Mr. Speaker, because he's an expert matters finance. And that is how we were able to come across and be able to see all the financial matters that the deputy governor had raised. The deputy governor, it is good this house to note that he was the chair of the pending bills committee, a very key committee, because as a vice chair of finance, we are dealing with issues of pending bills in this country. And it is the high time that when we have committees at the county levels that are able to look at the key issues, the priorities of the suppliers who need to be paid in this country, what is wrong, and the role that the deputy governor played, he was the chair of that committee. He was able to submit with the relevant committee. He was not sitting alone, because as a chair, then you sit with members. It was not his decision alone. It was a committee's decision. And in that regard, he was able to execute his mandate. All these things that happened actually months ago. It is in this time that out of frustrations, he spoke. Yes, he has a right to speak. There's freedom of speech. The deputy governor stood out and spoke. Then I asked if he was wrong. Then why did not the governor not come out and say, my deputy is telling you the wrong thing and this is the right thing? Nobody spoke and countered the deputy governor in that regard. So in a nutshell, Mr. Speaker, what...
Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support the report tabled here by the chair of the Impeachment Committee that includes Senator Tabitha Mutinda. And as I begin, I sympathize with my sister, Senator Mutinda, because I see her struggling to exonerate her signature, which is very clear on page 11, and probably to people that are not in this sitting, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also heard Senator AC talk so well about CVs of the Deputy Governor of Siaya, and I thought Senator AC should know that with such CVs that she refers to, then the Deputy Governor should not fall prey to issues of gross violation of the Constitution and abuse of office. Honorable Speaker, senators have talked here about fights, and we say the fights are very unnecessary. Why do I say so? Everybody should know which seats they are going for when elections are called. If you are a deputy, you go for a deputy governor. Do not for once imagine that once you are elected with the governor, then you will be the governor once you are in office, because the offices are as different as day and night.
And Honorable Speaker, I refer you to the County Government Act and the county executive functions that spells out the functions and powers of the governor. The powers are spelled out in part 5, but Honorable Speaker, coming to the deputy governor, the Constitution is very clear that the deputy governor shall deputize for the governor. At no time did the Constitution intend the deputy governor to be a governor of a county. And if you want to be the governor while you are deputy governor, the best thing you can do is to patiently do your work as a deputy governor and wait for the next election when you are free to vie as a governor, and once you are elected, then you can perform those functions. Honorable Speaker, the duties of the governor, deputy governor, as I say, are very clear. That the governor may assign the deputy any other portfolio as stipulated in the Constitution. And Honorable Speaker, I do not expect that this Senate is going to exonerate the deputy governor of Siaya having violated the Procurement Act, which to me is criminal and not only an issue of integrity. Honorable Speaker, other speakers, I listened here as even the whip lectures on the constitutional rights of the deputy speaker, but those rights are the same as the rights of the people of Siaya that have clearly been spelled out by the discussions that were in the County Assembly of Siaya, who are representatives of the people and Siaya. The people of Siaya have spoken through their representative, and this Senate must listen to the people of Siaya. This Senate must also take note of the report of the Senate committee that has just been tabled, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I've said in future, let people go for the seats that they require. Honorable Speaker, even nationally here, we have had a deputy president who talks about the principle of shareholding. But little do we see any evidence of the implementation of that shareholding principle when appointments are done, even though their values and principles of governance are spelled out by this Constitution, including inclusivity, equality, integrity, equity, and national unity.
Senator Beatrice, there's a point of order.
My point of order is on standing order number 105, responsibility for statement of fact. Is the Honorable Senator in order to discuss the Deputy President who has not been mentioned in any section of this report, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Honorable Speaker.
Senator Beatrice Akinyi, the chair is addressing you. Okay. I have said this, I think this is the 5th time this afternoon. We have a report. Please confine your debate to that report. Why discuss utterances made by the Deputy President, for example? Please confine yourself to the report. Proceed. If at all you have any minute left.
Honorable Speaker, I made reference, and I did not discuss anybody. I made reference to statements that have been made in the public, and Honorable Speaker, I'm only stating that officers should go for seats that they want and not go for seats and in 2 months' time want other seats that they do not have. Honorable Speaker, I support the report of the committee presented in the Senate.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika. Kwanza nimesimama hapa bila aibu kupinga ripoti ambayo imeletwa na kamati inayohusu kung'olewa kwa naibu wa gavana Bwana Odwor. Mstahiki Spika, nimesikia hapa Senator Nairobi Sifuna akitaja watu kwa majina ambao walikuwa wamejiongea kwamba hawakuwa wameunga mkono huu mswada. Ningetaka kuambia wale waliotajwa kwamba ukisikia shetani kupigia makofi wakati unaokoka, kuna shinda kubwa hapo. Mstahiki Spika, sheria ya usimamizi wa fedha 158 inasema wazi ya kwamba afisa mhasibu mkuu katika ukaguzi la county ni gavana mwenyewe. Masuala ya kiti ambayo inasemekana kwamba Bwana Oduola ninunua, hiyo ni swala linafaa kuulizwa gavana wa Siaya, lakini sio naibu wake. Na ningetaka tusijifanye manafiki hapa. Ningetaka kuuliza kiongozi wa chache katika upande wa Azimio asimame kama anajua bei ya kiti ambayo amekalia, na kama anajua Mstahiki Spika, tutajua pia naibu wa gavana katika gatuzi ya Siaya ako na makosa. Kama ajui, itakuwa ni makosa kumwekelea mwenzake kusema na makosa na hali yeye hahusiki katika ununuzi wa bidhaa katika gatuzi la Siaya.
Senator Mazayo. Senator Murango, it was indeed out of order for you to refer to Senator Mazayo, asking him whether he knows the value of that seat he sat on. Whether he knows or not, it is not material to this debate. Proceed.
Ningeuliza Senator Sifuna utulie muhenga usikiza msara. Asante sana Mstahiki Spika, ningetaka kusema ya kwamba kuanzia mwaka wa 2017 mpaka mwaka wa 2022 nimekuwa mwakilishi wandi MCA na majority leader la gatuzi la Kirinyaga. Mstahiki Spika, naibu wa gavana wananyanyaswa sana na magavana ambao wako kwa mamlaka. Na venye wananyanyasika Mstahiki Spika, wale hata hawezi ongea kitu mahali popote. Hata saa hii ukiuliza maseneta kama wanajua manaibu wa magavana kama 5 hawawezi kusema, Mstahiki Spika. Na sasa nasimama hapa nisiwe moja wa kutumika katika huu mradi wa Azimio wa kumngoa naibu wa gavana wa Siaya, mimi nikiwa ni senator wa Kirinyaga. Mstahiki Spika.
Senator Murango, please don't invite trouble. Certainly you're out of order, and proceed to retract the statement where you are referring this impeachment process as a project of Azimio. Retract that statement.
Mstahiki Spika, kwa heshima kubwa naondoa ile maneno ambayo nimesema hapo kama awali.
Senator Murango, would you wish to be informed by Senator Sifuna?
Yes, Mstahiki Spika, Senator Sifuna ni wakili, lakini wakati ananionyesha jia ama ananiambia
either yes or no, Senator.
Nakataa kwa sababu muda wangu utaisha.
Okay, proceed.
Mstahiki Spika, ningetaka niseme ya kwamba katika maamuzi ambayo inafanywa na hii seneti ni vizuri ifanywe kwa njia ya haki, kwa sababu Waswahili wanasema katika mahakama ya mbuzi ya fisi, mbuzi hapati sheria, hawezi kupata haki. Na katika hili bunge nataka nihesabiwe kwamba mimi si moja ambayo wanatajwa nalo Waswahili. Nikimalizia, Mstahiki Spika, wale Waswahili ndio wanasema kipembacho kikivunja ni nafuu kwa mchukuzi. Inaonyesha wazi kwamba kinachovunja katika kaunti gatuzi la Siaya ni uongozi wa Siaya, lakini sio wandogo ambao wameletwa hapa kutolewa kafara ili kufurahisha wachache. Mstahiki Spika, namalizia niseme ya kwamba wakilishi wandi wa Siaya msiruhusu kutumika, pia mfanye kazi kwa haki kama mlitumika. Sijasema mlitumika. Na kama ukweli ni kwamba mnatumika kutoka na watu wengine, ni afadhali pia kujiuzuru, muajiriwe na wale ambao wanamtumia vibaya. Kwa hiyo mengi na machache, nashukuru sana Mstahiki Spika. Naomba kukaa.
Senator Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, la kwanza nataka kuwapatia kongole wale ndugu zetu walioketi katika hii kamati. Wamefanya kazi muhimu na wamefikisha mwisho. Umuhimu wa hii kamati yetu, umuhimu wa kamati ndani ya bunge la Senate ni kwamba unaweza kuongoza na ukachukua msimamo ambao kawaida ya sisi kama wabunge wa Senate huwa tunakubaliana na ripoti ya kamati yetu. Na jambo zuri ni kwamba ripoti hii inayoongozwa na Kipsang akifuatiwa na Montet kama naibu wake ni ripoti ambao wameiandika kwa hali ya juu sana. Nataka kuwapatia kongole pamoja na wale wenzao wote, akina Mogendi, Onyonka, Maanzo, Sheikh Mohamed, Mofaya, Muma, Mutinda, Abdurrahman na Chimera, ndugu wangu. Nataka kusema ya kwamba ripoti ikiandikwa kama hivi na wakikubali.
Senator Nyamo and Senator Kinyo, kindly take your seats.
Na wakikubali ni kwamba ni ripoti mwafaka. Mimi nataka kusema ya kwamba tu hii kamati imefanya kazi yake na watu hawa 11 wamepata kwamba kuna hatia. Na si moja peke yake, hatia zimepatikana ni 2, makosa mawili. Kosa la kwanza na kosa la pili. Kawaida kosa likipatikana hata moja katika kamati kama hii, wakipata kosa, wakileta hapa, Senate huwa inaunga mkono kosa lile na yule mtu huwa anafaa kuachishwa kazi. Bwana Spika, tunaona ya kwamba kunao muhimu ya kwamba katika ile chaji ya kwanza ambao ni mambo ya kununua bidhaa za kaunti, na kulikuwa na utendakazi kinyume na ile sheria inayotambuliwa ya procurement. Bwana Spika, nataka kuuliza swali moja. Katika viti vyote hivi vinavyoketiwa na wakubwa, sijasikia kiti ambacho kinachukua zaidi ya milioni 1. Na kiti hicho kililetwa katika kamati na kama kithibitisho na kila mtu alikiona, itakuwa jambo la kusikitisha sana hivi leo ikiwa tutaangalia kiti kama kile kikiwa kimeenda na milioni 1.1 ya zile pesa. Itakuwa jambo la kusikitisha sana. Kama hatia kama hii imepatikana, ni jambo la kusikitisha ikiwa sisi kama seneta tutakubaliana ya kwamba ni haki mtu kununua kiti kama kile, hali bei yake haifiki ile bei inotakana, na alafu amechukua pesa zingine zimeenda hivyo hivyo bila zimeenda kiholela. Kwa hiyo katika hii ripoti mimi nataka kusema hiyo vile wameandika kwamba kiti hichi hakikutosha zile pesa za milioni 1, ni kwamba wamesema ukweli kabisa na hatia imepatikana, na hatua ya kumfurusha mamlakani ni lazima ichukuliwe. Bwana Spika, kosa la pili, katika kutumia ofisi vibaya na mienendo mibaya ya kudanganya wananchi kwa kupeana habari za uongo. Bwana Spika, hili ni jambo la kutisha na jambo la kusikitisha zaidi, ya kwamba wewe ukipewa mamlaka, tuna imani ya kwamba unaweza kuendesha yale mamlaka yako kisawasawa kulingana na sheria. Kama tunavyoona huyu bullfighter, yeye ana represent watu wa Kakamega kisawasawa. Hayuko kwenye ripoti, lakini mimi nasema ana represent kisawasawa. Lakini hivi leo kutumia mamlaka kwa njia mbaya, kutumia mamlaka kwa njia ya kusambaza uongo, mimi naona ya kwamba ikiwa kosa kama hili limepatikana wa kuweza kusambaza hizi habari kwa njia ya uongo, mtu muongo anaweza kuleta shida kubwa sana ndani ya kaunti. Kuongea mambo ya uongo unaweza kufanya watu wakapigana, unaweza kufanya mambo watu wakauana, unaweza kufanya mambo ambayo yanaweza kutenda vitu ambavyo wewe huwezi kuvitetea tena wakati vikiwa vimetendeka. Kwa hiyo tunasema tu ya kwamba hii ripoti tuiunge mkono na tukubaliana ya kwamba afurushwe mamlakani, atoke kwenye yale mamlaka ya naibu wa ugavana.
Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose this motion and this report. Mr. Speaker, having sat in this House for some time, I can confirm that all the impeachment that came to the floor of this House, it's all political. And I wish to confirm also this one is political. Reason being, Mr. Speaker, if I look at the grounds of removal of the Deputy Governor of Siaya, Mr. Speaker, all these grounds are flimsy, in the sense that, number one, if a governor has actually told the truth that he has interfered or he has directed in the procurement, surely this is a very truthful person. And the best that the County Assembly of Siaya should have done, they should have abandoned this particular person. And Mr. Speaker, this ground does not actually amount to impeachment, which clearly shows that Siaya County, they want to kill the political career of one deputy governor of Siaya County. The second ground, Mr. Speaker, if you look at it, is actually misleading the public. All politicians mislead the public or say information that are not fruitful. Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Speaker, on statements of fact, I don't know what evidence Senator Dulo has that, in fact, all politicians mislead the public. I want to be shown the data, the statistics, because it is not fair, Mr. Speaker, to blanket condemn everyone, including myself, who is also a politician. I would want to see that data, Mr. Speaker, so that we can tell with certainty that she knows what she's speaking about.
Senator Dulo, you cannot make a blanket condemnation on a whole class, the politicians. Maybe you know a few, but it cannot be all of them.
Mr. Speaker, let me rephrase it. Majority of politicians give wrong information to the public, and nobody has ever been prosecuted because of that. And in this case, I don't see the reason why the deputy governor of Siaya is actually impeached as a result of that. We have only carried 2 impeachments on the floor of this House for the time I've been in this House, Mr. Speaker. The one of Waititu, Governor Waititu, which was, he was actually the governor, Governor Waititu of Kiambu, was carried. And that was political then. Number 2, the second actually governor who was impeached was governor for Nairobi. It was equally political. Mr. Speaker, I don't see the reason why a career of somebody who has built his career for the last 30 years be killed because of those 2 allegations against him. And the best that this committee and assembly should have done is actually to subject this matter to audit as they have indicated in their report. And number 2, to refer it to EACC to investigate on the matter. Mr. Speaker, I oppose this report as it is. Thank you.
Senator Oburu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this report. And Mr. Speaker, when I read the report and saw on page 11 the names of all the members of the special committee, Mr. Speaker, I thought that this was a bipartisan report, which included everybody. Mr. Speaker, this is because I did not see any appendage of a minority report. Because when a report is made and it is voted, and there is majority and there is minority, the cardinal principle of democracy is that the minority will have their say, but the majority will have their way. And Mr. Speaker, when the minority have their way, if you have very strong feelings against what the majority have passed, then you draw a minority report and attach to the report. But we did not see such. Mr. Speaker, it is very surprising that on the floor of the House, I see members now trying to drag us through who voted where. Mr. Speaker, really, how would we know? Because it is not in the report. Whether you voted this way or you voted, what we have seen is a report signed by all the 11 members of the committee. Mr. Speaker, this is a very painful process for us as the people of Siaya. Mr. Speaker, as a senator of Siaya, when these things started, it started as a joke. I thought that this was just a very small issue between the governor and his deputy. And this matter started coming into the public, but then it just grew bigger and bigger, and the deputy governor went haywire, making very, very many allegations, which of course were not proven. But it was very surprising, Mr. Speaker. I tried to intervene. As a senator, I would really not just sit by and watch the executive quarreling, which actually results into non-delivery of service or very, very sketched delivery of service by the executive to the people. Because our mandate is given or donated by the people of Siaya. And the people of Siaya expect to get services from the executive of Siaya. And Mr. Speaker, when there is a quarrel between the two giants, or when the two bulls are fighting, Mr. Speaker, it is the grass that suffers. And the grass is the Siaya people. And I'm pleading with the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleading with the Senate. And if you don't go by the report, the recommendation of this report, it will mean that the deputy governor will go back to his office. And when he goes back to his office, I don't know, Mr. Speaker, what we expect. How you expect the governor to work with the same deputy who has besmirched his name and has done whatever, pulled it through the NAMAD, and this matter is now before us. We are having facts. Mr. Speaker, I don't think there is any bigger offense than being proved to have violated the Constitution of Kenya. I don't know whether there is any bigger offense, and if there is, I don't know it has yet to be proved to me, but I know in this country, the biggest offense is to violate the Constitution, to contravene, and this has been proved by this committee. Mr. Speaker, I therefore would like to plead with my colleagues that please, Siaya people are part and parcel of Kenya. They are shareholders. Don't.
Senator Chirange.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. From the onset, I rise to oppose these reports. Mr. Speaker, An impeachment procedure is a political procedure and a political process. When you look at Mike Mbuvi case in the Supreme Court, it should follow certain procedures. Mr. Speaker, I am sad I believe that there are two charges. One, under Section 148, Deputy Governor His Excellency William Odwal is a man of integrity. He has worked with many international organizations with repute. Mr. Speaker, the Senate does not serve as a ground of sanitizing or processing political disputes, political egos, or machismo, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, when the great people of Siaya, which is over 500,000, went to polls, they elected our brother and my good friend, Senior Counsel, Governor James Orengo, and William Odwal. They are joined at the hip, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, we should be treating the Deputy Governor, William Odwal, as a whistleblower, Mr. Speaker, sir. Because of speaking against corruption, allegation corruptions, Mr. Speaker, in Siaya, he is being sacrificed at the expense of others, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to challenge EACC. They should have descended, Mr. Speaker, sir, to Siaya County like yesterday to investigate why 1.1 million was purchased, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, under Article 2265 of the Constitution of Kenya, the final culpability stays and stops at the back of the governor of Siaya, Mr. Speaker. That is the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge Governor Orengo to look at the eyes of the people of Siaya and tell them he approved and processed the payment of 1.1 million, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under Section 148, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order, Senator Cherengei? A minute. What is the point of order, Senator Mazayo?
Bwana Spika, tunaelewa kabisa ya kwamba ni haki yake kuongea vile anavyoongea, lakini tu kanuni zetu za kudumu katika hii bunge zinasema ya kwamba huwezi kuongea juu ya mtu ambaye hayuko hapa. Na wewe umeshafanya uamuzi huo mara nyingi. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka kuuliza, je, ni sawa sawa kwa ndugu yangu Cherargei na anaelewa sheria na amekuwa kiongozi wa ile kamati ya sheria kuweza kutaja jina la mtu bila kwamba huyo mtu hayako hapa ndani ya bunge kuweza kujitetea?
Senator Mazayo, Senator Cherengei is giving a dissent. He's dissenting from the report. And his point is that the person who is ultimately in charge is the governor. In this case, the governor is called Orengo. I don't see anything wrong with that. Proceed, Senator Cherengei.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. As you are aware, I'm the highly sought after legal practitioner in this republic. So my prowess precedes my name, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under Section 148, Mr. Speaker, of the Public Finance Management Act, Mr. Speaker, you know Senator Sifuna is haggling for nothing. You can haggle tomorrow, not in the Senate. Section 148, Mr. Speaker, of the Public Finance Management Act. Accounting officers does not include a deputy governor. Yes. It designates the CCM. The law is very clear. The law is crystal clear. Deputy Governor Odwal is not an accounting officer as per the PMF Act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure, and I've read the report, I don't know why Senator Sifuna is shouting across the floor for no reason, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
can
the
you
Senate...
proceed to conclude your intervention?
I still have time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is very important that I have read the report on the aspect of misleading the public, Mr. Speaker. No one has controverted, even the governor or the office of the governor. We were never shown a letter that the governor controverted the allegations of misleading public by DG Odwal, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this house is a house of integrity. We shall not invite political disputes, Mr. Speaker, to be resolved here, Mr. Speaker. The deputy governor, Mr. Speaker, does not sit in tender committees. He is not an accounting officer, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we need to protect evolution under Article 96,
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Cherengei, would you wish to be informed by Senator Osotsi?
No, on this one, if
Proceed.
it was issue of Ugali, I would have agreed, but on this one, I disagree.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, they say the arc of moral universe is long, but it bends to justice. The people of Siaya are getting justice today because we will ensure DG Odwal go back to his work, Mr. Speaker, and continue to serve the people of Siaya. Mr. Speaker, you saw our troops in the National Assembly of Kenya Kwanza during the finance bill. The same knife we use at the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, is we shall use to vanquish and ensure we incinerate anybody who would want to allow the corruption to be sanitized, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I oppose this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
At this juncture, honorable senators, I will call the mover to reply.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to reply. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank all the 11 members of the special committee. They sat, they slept very late, past midnight, we deliberated, and I want to urge the House that even as we dispose this particular motion, it is important that we look at this particular deputy governor and governor relationship so that we do something as Senate that will help devolution and help the counties. And I urge all members that you vote using your own wisdom. You've heard what members have said. It's now up to each one of us, the 47 delegates, to decide the vote of the deputy governor. Thank you. I reply.
Now, honorable senators, before we move to division, I will give an opportunity to the deputy governor or his council, an opportunity to be heard by the plenary. Sergeant at Arms, can you kindly usher in the deputy governor and his council? Sergeant at Arms was the deputy governor in Siaya, or he was within the chamber? Order members, do we have the Deputy Governor of Siaya in the chamber? Now, Deputy Governor, you have under 30 minutes to be heard by the plenary. You may do so yourself or through your duly chosen and appointed advocate. The podium is yours.
Mr. Speaker, sir, and the senators in the House, good evening. My name is William Odwal. I am the Deputy Governor for Siaya County, and I have listened to the proceedings. I have been here the entire afternoon. I, at this point, would wish to ask my counsel to come and give our closing remarks. But before he comes, allow me, with humility, to introduce the council that I have here. I have Mr. Moses Chelanga, and he's the one that is going to make our final submissions. And I have Mr. Patrick Baraza, both councils. Mr. Paul Nyamodi, who was with the committee the other day, is not able to join us today, but he is ably represented. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I will therefore ask my counsel, Moses Chelanga, to come and give our final submission. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Moses Chelanga, counsel for the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, Mr. Dr. William Odwal, CPA. I'm told in Siaya those titles are very important to be noted. Mr. Speaker, sir, there was a lot of heavy weather that was made over a chair worth 1.2 million shillings. And there was an allegation or a charge against the governor on bulldozing, bullying, and twisting procurement to ensure that that chair was purchased for his benefit. That particular charge, Mr. Speaker, sir, has been found by the committee to be unsubstantiated. And therefore, that drama before the committee, led by the able governor of Elgeyo Marakwet, Mr. Kisang, it was a necessary drama. The committee found that the deputy governor was in no way involved in the procurement process, and he was therefore acquitted in the manner of speaking of that particular charge. Mr. Speaker, I have heard with the deliberation by the members of this House about the relationship between the governor and the deputy governor. And during the committee, the deputy governor said that they had a very good camaraderie, good working relationship with his boss, senior counsel James Orengo, whom we hold in a very high regard, especially on this side of the divide whereby we practice law. And he made a very interesting remark that they used to put on matching suits. And it was a comment that is not our first time. We've had an interesting story of people putting on matching suits, and it ends up into another quagmire. Mr. Speaker, I would just want to make two remarks. One is that the deputy governor has been found on the accounts of bullying, intimidation. That charge was substantiated. But at the same time, the committee found that this particular governor, or deputy governor, sorry, for that matter, interfered with procurement. On one side of the mouth, the committee says that the governor did not intimidate anyone, did not bully anyone, did not twist anyone. Then on the other side, it says he interfered with procurement. How does that sit before this particular House? How is that the integrity of that report, because it is a house of record. And we will read it. Our children will read it. It will be subjected to debate in this house and the house before. So I would also want this full house to also consider that particular recommendation by the House. It has been submitted also that this is a political process. Yes, it is. It is legal and political process. And I would like the Speaker and the House to revisit the answer of 26th of June 2020. That is the re-impeachment of the governor of Kirinyaga then, who is now the Council of Governors chairperson, and Waiguru. And once profound submissions that were made by our senior colleague, which incidentally is also maybe is not a subject of these proceedings, but I'm just quoting it, is that Honorable James Orengo, senior counsel senator of Siaya then, made remarks and said, and made a reference to the Bible, that the story of Herod and Herodia, and said that when this beautiful girl who danced to the king, and the king asked, I can grant you anything you want, and then went to the mother called Herodia, and Herodia said, I want the head of John the Baptist. But because the king had made that promise, the head had to be delivered. And that's how John the Baptist was beheaded. And my senior colleague made humble submissions that we know who wants the head of Anoy Guru. This house should make that profound submission. And I submit, we know who wants the head of James Odwol. In a platter. So in this case, I make and I submit that this house should vote in the negative for the impeachment of Senator William Woodward. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Deputy Governor, Honorable William Woodward. Because politics happen. Harry Truman once said that in Washington politics, if you want a friend, get a dog. So there's no friendship. But you see, we should not sacrifice our constitution for political expediency because the boss doesn't want his deputy. Then we can throw him under the gallows. No. And the law is very clear. Submissions have been made before the committee, in this house, and even in the Supreme Court in the case of Mike Mbuvi Songo, highlight the most recent case in the Supreme Court. They set out a threshold of impeachment. Gross violation. Not every violation is gross, and I'm sure the Speaker and the members will consider that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, is that on the issue of the role of governor and the deputy governor, which members have heavily made submission about it, is that this role needs to be submitted and needs to be reviewed by you as honorable members of this House, because it's your role to defend devolution. Because under Article 179, no one knows what is the role of the deputy governor. It's saying he's the deputy chief executive officer. Article 33(2), I think, says that you will do any other role that he may be assigned by the governor. And on this particular matter, there was a letter that the governor wrote to the chief officer of finance, instructing him to be, from time to time, be briefing the deputy governor on issues within that particular department. And in discharge of that particular responsibility, the deputy governor would, from time to time, ask briefing, make suggestions, ask for updates from the Department of Finance, which includes procurement. How is that interference? So we should also ask the governor, did he write an illegal letter? That he instructed his deputy governor to interfere with procurement, to interfere with finance docket. Then this impeachment should be a joint impeachment of the governor and the deputy governor. That is why you need, as this House, I implore you to have a policy decision on way going forward. And I told the committee about a political joke in the US that what is the role of a deputy governor? He says, what is the role of the deputy governor? It's a joke in a political circle that say, he wakes up in the morning, reads the newspaper, check if the governor is alive or dead. If he's not dead, then goes back to sleep. Because that is the role. So at least going forward, on behalf of all the deputy governors, we would also ask that this becomes a policy decision. And finally, Mr. Speaker, is that I think Honorable Buru made a very profound statement that he tried to intervene. And I think also when we stop talking, we start fighting. As a country going forward, I think it is important also for this House to provide a way of mediating political disputes instead of going to impeachment. And I'm very much aware, but when there's a dispute between the House and the National Assembly, there's always a mediation committee. Maybe as a way forward, as a policy reform, I would recommend that also there would be a way of an alternative dispute resolution other than drawing swords on each other. So that I yield to my colleague, Mr. Baraza, to make one comment on this, and then we'll close our submission to allow you to retire and make a vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your time.
Mr. Speaker and the senators in the House, I'll address two issues. One is the issue whether the threshold for removal of the deputy governor has been met, and then I'll make a comment on one of the charges that has been found to be substantiated. On my first issue, whereas the impeachment process is a political process, it's also a process that is duly guided by the Constitution, and the ground for impeachment are clearly provided under Article 181 of the Constitution. And if you read carefully the provisions of Article 181, there's a specific term that has been used, gross violation of the Constitution or any other law, gross misconduct. Even as you retire to vote on that report, we'd like the Senate to put that in mind. Has the charges that were brought before against the deputy governor gross? That's one thing that we want the Senate to put in mind, even as it vote towards that report. I'd also like to comment on the first charge that has been substantiated, the charge of interference with procurement process. Mr. Speaker and the senators, you'll note that when the motion for impeachment was drafted, the particular section under which the deputy governor was charged with is section 47(1) of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. However, Mr. Speaker and the members of the Senate, if you look at the report, the provision under which that charge has been found to be substantiated is section 67(3) of the Public Procurement Act. And I'll refer the senators to page 40, and also you can look at the comparison. So the question is it fair to charge somebody under this particular provision of the law, and then you find him guilty or substantiate the charge under a different particular provision of the law? We urge that the Senate vote on this motion, and we'll hope that you're going to exonerate the deputy governor. That's all.
Now, honorable senators, having heard the deputy governor, we shall now proceed to division. However, pursuant to Standing Order 84-2, I have to make a determination, which I hereby do, that this matter affects counties, and therefore voting shall be by delegates. Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the division bell for 5 minutes.
Well, the Speaker of the Senate has directed that the division bell be rung for 5 minutes. Of course, the impeachment hearings for the Deputy Governor of Siaya are coming to the tail end. This is after an afternoon-long debate on these impeachment proceedings. What we have just concluded on is the debate by the members of the Senate on that report by the committee. A number of issues coming up during that particular debate. Of course, with members indicating that the report was voted on unanimously. This means by all the 11 members. Remember, the report has proposed for the impeachment of the deputy governor. However, the House remained divided on which position to take on this matter, as members who were part of the committee indicated that there are some of them who voted no to the impeachment, while some voted yes to the impeachment. But yet again, in a quick rejoinder, various members stood to fault them, indicating that they should or could have come up with a minority report that would have led the House to understand that they are sort of divided in this report, because at the beginning the report indicated, or rather shows, that it was signed by all the 11 members who were agreeing to the impeachment, even though 5 of the members voted no to the impeachment and 6 of them voted yes to the impeachment. Other issues that came up include the position that was taken by different members, with some indicating that this particular situation should fall on the hands of the governor and not the deputy governor if there were any issues on the procurement, if there were any issues that are said to have been abuse of office or gross misconduct within the county government, then should have been taken upon by the governor, perhaps to even raise the alarm to the ethics and anti-corruption body to alert them and have them do an audit on all these. As members indicate that the deputy governor whatever is happening to the deputy governor is a witch hunt, and if there are any cases that detail whatever is happening in the county, then should have been taken up much earlier by the governor and alert the anti-corrupt body to come and handle the issue. But members, being divided, yet indicated that the deputy governor in the report, while appearing before the committee, agreed to have interfered or attempted to interfere with the procurement process, which has actually been the basis of the gross misconduct that members have been quoting in this debate, with some indicating that if there has been such allegation and that has been substantiated, then he is facing an interference with procurement, and then that is a charge that should, send him home, and that there should be no further debate on that. But again, as members have been calling it, that the impeachment process is political, and yet there is the constitutional aspect of it, that legal frameworks have to be followed. And that is basically what has been happening throughout since members came back after deliberating or interacting with the report that was submitted by the committee that was mandated to investigate the allegations that were leveled against the deputy governor of Siaya County. Each member had 5 minutes to give out their opinions or to share their views on that particular report. Before this division bell, the deputy governor was given a chance to be heard, And using his legal team, 2 members who were representing him in the legal team, Moses Chelanga and Patrick Baraza, also stood to defend the deputy governor. Well, let's listen in to the speaker.
Senator Seki, kindly take your seat. Sergeant at Arms, kindly close the doors and proceed to draw the bar. Senator Kajwang. Honorable members, I now proceed to put the question. Senator Professor Tom Ojenda, you're out of order. Have your seat. Take your seat. That whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on 8 June 2023, the County Assembly of Siaya approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County. And whereas by a letter reference CASA DM/33/04, dated Friday 9th June 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Saturday 10th June 2023, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Siaya conveyed the resolution of the County Assembly removing from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B, the Senate, by resolution, on Thursday, 15th June 2023, appointed a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether it finds the particulars of allegations to have been substantiated. Further, whereas pursuant to Section 33(4) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 82, the Special Committee has investigated the matter and tabled its report today, Monday, 26th June 2023. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(4) and 6B of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 84B, the Special Committee has found that the particulars of Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws, and Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct, have been substantiated. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(6)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 84B, the Senate, after according the Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, an opportunity to be heard, resolves to impeach Honorable William Oduol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, on the following charges. Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws, and Charge 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct. Now, honorable members, this is a hybrid session, and therefore voting will also be hybrid. For those members who are present in the chamber, we will proceed to vote electronically. And for those who are online, they'll also have a chance to vote. Before we proceed with the actual voting, honorable members, kindly remove or log out and the Sergeant at Arms kindly take all the cards remaining in the delegate units. Sergeant at Arms, kindly proceed to pick all the cards that are still remaining in the delegate units after the senators have pulled out theirs. Sergeant at Arms, we are waiting for your confirmation that indeed the remaining cards have been removed from the delegates' units. Are we done, Sergeant at Arms? Now, honorable members, kindly proceed to log back into the delegate unit. Proceed to log back. Senator Mogeni, kindly proceed, and Senator Mtata, kindly. Senator Montet, also proceed to take your chair. Honorable members, do I have your confirmation that you have logged back? Do we have that confirmation? Now, honorable members, Senator Boni. Now, honorable senators, proceed to vote by either pressing yes, no, or abstain. Now, we are going to vote per charge. So I will read the charge, you proceed to vote, and we get the results will be recorded. And then, after that, we proceed to charge number 2. So I'll proceed to read charge number 1. Gross violation of the Constitution and other laws. Proceed to vote on that charge. Honorable Senators, Senator Chirange, the session is still on. Can I have your silence, honorable members? Can I have your silence? There are 3 senators who are appearing online, so I need your silence as I call out the names so that they can proceed to vote online. Senator Ledama, proceed to vote.
I vote yes.
Thank you. Honorable senators, can I have your silence, please? Senator Kathuri, proceed to vote. Can I have your silence, senators? Senator Kathuri, proceed to vote, please. Clerk, can you look at the system, please? We cannot hear the Deputy Speaker. We cannot hear him. If you cannot hear him, Clerk, can you let him write on a sheet of paper so that he can show it on the screen? No, we are not lip readers here. Clerk. So we will move to Mungatana, Senator Mungatana. We will come back to Senator Kathuri. Senator Mungatana, kindly proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, greetings from Sierra Leone. I vote no.
Thank you. Now let's go back to Senator Kathuri. Have you fixed the system? Clerk, has the system been fixed? Senator Kathuri, proceed to vote. Clerk. Senator, can I have your silence so that we communicate with Senator Kathuri wherever he is? Now, Senator Kathuri, we cannot hear you, but I believe you can hear the chair. Kindly proceed to take a blank sheet of paper. Well. Wonderful. So proceed to vote. We can hear you now.
Honorable Speaker, I vote no.
Senator Mofaya Gataya, proceed to come and vote. Honorable Senators, Senator Chirangei, you understand the standing orders and what they provide when you're in the chamber. Kindly uphold the standing orders. Honorable Senators, you know the standing orders have not been suspended. This session is live and the standing orders remain in force. Senator Cheptumo, you can share those pictures later. Now, honorable Senators, these are the results of the division on charge number 1. The ayes 16, nays 27, abstention 0. So the nays have it. Now, honorable Senators, will proceed on a division on the second charge, which is abuse of office and gross misconduct. Senators, kindly log in if you've not logged in and proceed to press yes, no, or abstain. Senator Methu, Senator Chimera, Senator Chirange, you're becoming notorious. Now, honorable members, can I have your silence to allow the three senators who are online to also make their voice heard on this division? Senator Ledama, proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Kathuri, proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no.
Senator Mungatana, kindly proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no.
Now, honorable senators, on the second charge, these are the results of your division. Ayes 16, noes 27, abstention 0. So the nays have it. Sergeant at Arms, you may proceed to open the doors and draw the bar. Now, honorable senators, the net effect of these votes is that pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33(8) of the County Government Act, and Standing Order 87 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate has failed to remove from office by impeachment Honorable William Oduor, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and that the Deputy Governor accordingly continues to hold office. Honorable Senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Tuesday, 27th June 2023 at 2:30 p.m.